Every day?
Never.
Once or twice a week.
Every morning and every evening on my commute to and from work.
2 to 3 hours a day.
I listen to Warwick Radio.
BBC 4.
Radio 1, 2, 4 and 5.
Radio has been a large part of society and culture for many years, but with new competing technology emerging, what will become of radio? There have always been significant differences between commercial and local radio, as well as the uses and gratifications for its audiences. But is it time for radio to evolve?
I've been working at Juice 107.2 in Brighton, a local commercial radio station, for the last 2.5 years now, I think. I work on the New Music Show, and that's also the kind of shows I listen to, sort of the new music.
Well, I got involved in radio because I love radio, so I'm a huge Radio 4 fan, and I really like community radio, not so much local radio but community radio, which actually has local voices on air talking about local things, but with that real kind of local knowledge as well, which to me is very important. And I like to make the kind of radio that I'd like to hear, so I like to think of the kind of radio that I enjoy making as a bit sort of Radio 4 with a bit of punk rock thrown in.
When I was younger, I used to listen to radio all the time, in the morning, in the car, when you go to school and stuff, and then I used to download quite a lot of podcasts, and I think that's what really got me into wanting to be part of a station, because I enjoyed listening to sort of comedy factors and people that can just sit there and play their favourite songs.
There is a big difference between local and community radio. Is there a future for them both?
Because community radio is not driven necessarily by an economic imperative, so the money's not going into shareholders' pockets, because there is no blooming money, it all runs on fresh air, but two, because there are no shareholders, because it's non-profit. It's coming from quite a different perspective, because what local radio is doing, especially in the commercial sector and the BBC sector as well, it's always grabbing audiences.
I think they're so different. Like, I think community radio often tackles problems within the community, so say the hospital needs upgrading or something like that, they might do an hour slot about that and how it's affected people, whereas local, I think, is more events.
In terms of community radio, I think if we're talking to one person and we can let one person know about something that affects and touches their life, to me that's really, really important, and we can talk to them in a way that lets them know that we're engaging with them on the same kind of level. To me that's really, really important. And I think just because it's small, it doesn't mean that it's tin pot or anything like that. You know, it does run on a shoestring, and it does run with equipment that's held together with sellotape and Pritt stick, but I think it's serving a really valuable purpose, and it's doing something, and it's talking in such a way that either commercial local radio or BBC local radio doesn't.
Radio needs to go back to grassroots and needs to be the voice of the people. Radio needs to reflect the issues that matter to the people, and it needs to stop insulting the intelligence of the average human being, because people are a great deal brighter than they're given credit for, and they get frustrated and angry when they're not given the material with which to make informed choices.
Radio definitely needs to evolve. Radio needs to think about what its audience is doing, how its audience possibly are evolving and changing. I don't think you can stay in the past for anything, and I think interaction with radio stations is something that really engages people. So now you can interact via Twitter, Facebook, email, online, and I think that opens up lots of potential new interesting routes, and I think it's a very interesting debate which is happening nationally.
I think the future of radio is probably more, especially local radio, it's probably more new music and a bit different than the commercial Radio 1 kind of music.
Radio's always been special to me. It's always sparked my imagination. It's always helped me to think. It's always given me more in-depth analysis of the issues that matter to me. And it's been a good friend. I don't think I could sleep without it.
Whilst it is clear that radio needs to tap into new mediums like social networking, there is also an emphasis on the importance of keeping its traditional roots. The financial problems of community radio won't be solved overnight. However, there has been and always will be a dedicated audience to keep it alive.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So when you hear it on speakers, the mics are off. That's fine.
Oh, right.
And you also get a little red light down there. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It was really funny because I made him slow right down to do this.
Oh right. Yes, because he's fast, isn't he? Yeah.